Hello there. Uh, I want to kind of share with you kind of a makeover that I'm going to do on one of my razors. It's this razor here. It's my Genco Grant 9/16 Roundpoint razor. And the reason for the makeover are buried. First of all, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I split the scale right there where the pin is. That pins this razor to these scales. When I was pinning this razor, this was one of my very first restores, and I made several mistakes, and I'm going to go back now and correct those mistakes. And second thing I did is, if you look, the razor, the washer here underneath that pin is upside down. There's a side of this washer that has a rounded edge to it, and one that has a squared off edge. And the squared off edge goes on the bottom, the round edge goes on top for looks. Not a big deal, but while I got it apart, I'm going to address that as well. Also, if you look at the blade, it was nice and shiny and all when I first finished it, but with some age on it, you can see scratches that I'd missed getting out of this blade, And so I'm going back to the sandpaper, and I'm going to get rid of that. If you look on here, right here on the edge here, you can see that little black spot. Well, that's not a chip in the razor. And despite what it looks like on the camera, it does not extend into the actual cutting edge of this razor, but it is slightly into the bevel. And what it is a piece of pitting that I chose to leave because it wasn't on the edge, and it doesn't affect the shave. But while I've got it apart, I want to address that too, and I'm going to get that out, and that's just going to require some honing on low grit sandpapers, or a low grit stone. I've got a 400 grit carborundum, I think they call it, stone, that I'm going to do that on. I'm going to get that out and then go back to honing it. So I'm going to address all these issues. Now, I will lose the Tasmanian Blackwood scales because I don't have any more. I tried to cut scales out for this a week or so ago, and the Tasmanian Blackwood split right along one of the outlines of the scales. It happens sometimes. That's the way things go. Don't like it, but I don't have any more Tasmanian Blackwood, so we're going to go with something else. Now, probably, I've got a couple different woods picked out. One is this yellow cirrus. It's a lovely, lovely wood. If you can imagine that under finish, it's going to be beautiful. But what I may do, I have some maple here that a friend of mine gave me couple years ago, and it's like a two-tone kind of maple. So what I'd have to do is cut scales out of each one of these. Cut one scale out of one and one scale out of the other. But I may try to do it and kind of keep that line delineated through the center of the scales, so they have dark on one side and light on the other. I don't know. I may not. I've been thinking about taking these and book matching them like this and using them on the headstock of the guitar. And that still may be, let me turn it to the other side, the route that I will go with them. More than likely, I'll be using the yellow cirrus. But I'll start on this blade, and I'll go from 60 to 120 to 220 to 400, 600, or 400, 800, 1,000, and I'll stop right around 1,500. And then I'll go to mothers. But I probably won't show all of that. I certainly won't show the scale making. I have a scale making series, a 7-part series on making scales here on this YouTube channel under the playlist, my home razor restoration playlist, which is what this is under. But I may show some of the sanding of the blade and stuff like that. Or you may get this video and then you may get the completed razor. I don't know yet. The last time I tried to do a comprehensive kind of thing, it took months, or it took a couple months at least, to get it all on video and everything like that. And I could do it in 2 or 3 days if I don't. So, and you guys have seen all that. I don't know that there's any need to repeat it all. So that may be all you get is this video, and then at the end of this little spiel that I'm doing right now, I may show the completed razor. So, but I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up. I thought you might be interested in it. I'm going to make over this razor and fix the flaws that I didn't fix when I first did it. When you're learning, a lot of times you go, well, I'll catch it next time around. I didn't get all that out on the 60 grit. I'll get it out on the 120 grit. And I didn't get it all out on the 120 grit. And I'll get it out on the 220 or the 320 and on and on and on and on. You're just digging a bigger and bigger hole. If you don't get stuff out, if you don't get the scratches from the 60 grit out on the 120 grit, you're not going to get them out on the 220 grit. You're going to get the 120 grit if you get them all. You're going to get those scratches out, but good luck on getting the 60 grit out with 220 paper. You'll have an arm bigger than Popeye's. After he drinks eats a can of spinach. I mean, that's the way it is. And as beginners, we don't realize this, and I didn't, and I made some mistakes. I'm going to correct them and do this razor up the way it should have been done in the first place. God bless you, and I hope to see you. I hope that you'll view this video and enjoy the finished product. And there you have it. 9/16 Genco Grant. Scales are Australian yellow cirrus. I don't know how easily you can find this wood in the States. This wood was given to me by a luthier friend of mine from Australia. And I've not been able to find it in any place that I go to find wood to build scales. So it's got a black ebony wedge. So that's it. That's the restore or the refurbish or whatever you want to call it. I do want to give a shout out to Guy at Gentleman's Edge. He shot a video recently, and there was a razor he had that I loved, and I said, I have a hard time finding those razors around here. And he said, well, I got what you need, and gave me his email. And of course I emailed him and told him, I don't have the money right now to do that, but I would most certainly be glad to get back with you, and I will, just as soon as I can afford it, and get him to look up a razor for me if he can find it. But the thing about Guy is he offered to work with me monetarily, and kind of help me along. He offered to hold it for me for a couple of weeks and stuff like that. Most guys that are doing that, the kind of stuff that he does, they're trying to make money. That's why they're doing it. And they're not going to wait on somebody like me to be able to afford to do anything. Most of them, they're just going to move on to another customer, one that's serious about buying at that time. And Guy was gracious enough to offer, even though I declined the offer, he was gracious enough to offer, to hold on to it for a couple of weeks if I wanted to, so that I could get the money together and purchase the thing. So, I got to give him props for that. I got to recommend him just because of that. Not just because of that. If you follow him, he does wonderful work, and he's a really cool guy. But I mean, in particular for that, I've got to kind of recommend him and give him a shout out. So, Guy, thank you for being the kind of guy that you are. You guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this. And all it needs now is a good hone. And you'll see a shaving video of this razor very soon. God bless you, and I'll talk to you later.